welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be talking about By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings.
Oh, yeah.
This fantasy novel blends Norse mythology and Viking grit in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before.
It really is a wild ride.
Yeah.
Through a world where gods walk among us and prophecies whisper of destinies yet to unfold.
Lots of destinies.
And love blossoms in the most unexpected places.
Oh, very exciting.
Yes.
Well, this deep dive is all about giving you just a taste of what makes this book so captivating.
Just enough to spark your interest.
Yeah, without spoiling the film.
Hi, exactly.
So let's start with the protagonist. Revna.
Okay. Revna.
Yes, so imagine a Viking shield maiden,
Okay.
a leader of the Myddheim Maidens,
The Myddheim Maidens.
which are essentially a badass group of women fighting for justice.
Okay, so we're already talking powerful women.
Yes,
A bit of a vigilante squad vibe.
exactly.
That definitely caught my attention.
Yeah,
But it's not just about battles and brawn, right?
exactly. There's so much more to her than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Revna is haunted by a past sacrifice,
Okay.
a burden that she carries with her every step of the way.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So it makes you think, how does someone like that grapple with the weight of such a past
Yeah.
while also leading others?
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
It adds a whole layer of complexity to her character.
absolutely.
So then things get really interesting.
Yes, they do.
She's suddenly ripped from her world
Ripped from her world.
and finds herself in Vanaheim,
Vanaheim,
a realm ruled by Fenrir.
the wolf god himself.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and this is where the author's really unique interpretation
Okay,
of Norse mythology really shines.
I see.
You'll encounter figures like Odin and Thor, even Hel, the goddess of death.
Oh, wow.
But their roles and motivations are not what you might expect
Okay.
from those traditional tales.
Interesting. So they're kind of like subverted a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a fierce warrior woman.
Yes.
We've got a mysterious prophecy hinted at.
And a whole pantheon of Norse gods
A whole pantheon.
who aren't exactly playing by the usual rules.
Exactly.
What's not to love?
Yeah, what's not to love?
And then there's the relationship between Revna and Fenrir.
Yes.
It's electric, to say the least.
It's electric.
They have a shared history,
They do.
a connection forged years ago.
Forged years ago.
And the tension between them,
is palpable.
ooh, a forbidden romance, perhaps?
Perhaps.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Good.
Tell me, does the story delve into the political landscape
Oh, absolutely.
between these realms?
Yes.
It sounds like there could be some serious power struggles at play.
There are definitely
Yeah.
some brewing tensions between Asgard,
Okay.
the realm of the Aesir,
Yeah.
and Vanaheim,
Right.
where Fenrir rules.
So it's not just a personal story then.
No, it's not.
It sounds like the fate of entire realms might be hanging in the balance.
That's exactly right.
No pressure, Revna.
No pressure at all.
So tell me more about this prophecy.
Okay, so the prophecy surrounding Revna is,
Yeah.
it's shrouded in mystery, but it hints at a much larger conflict,
Okay.
a struggle that could determine the fate of all 9 realms.
All 9.
All 9.
Wow. All right, you've definitely piqued my interest.
I'm glad.
We've got strong female characters, a dash of forbidden romance,
Uh-huh.
a prophecy with high stakes,
Yes.
and a whole lot of Norse mythology woven in.
A lot of Norse mythology.
I'm hooked. What else can you tell me about Revna and Fenrir's dynamic?
Okay, so their relationship is kind of a dance
Okay.
between attraction and distrust.
Ooh.
They're both warriors in their own right,
Oh,
both carrying burdens from their past,
right.
but they find solace and strength in each other,
Oh,
even amidst all the chaos.
that push and pull dynamic always makes for a captivating story.
It really does.
And it sounds like the author isn't afraid to explore those gray areas
Oh, absolutely.
of morality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The lines between good and evil are very blurred in this world. You'll find yourself questioning who to trust
Uh-huh.
and what everyone's true motives are.
Ooh, very interesting.
Even the gods aren't exempt from this moral ambiguity.
Now that's a twist.
It is.
So tell me what makes this story stand out from other fantasy novels
Okay.
that draw on Norse mythology.
One thing that really struck me
Yeah.
was the portrayal of the gods.
Okay.
They're not these distant, all-powerful beings.
Uh-huh.
You know, they have their own flaws,
Right.
desires, insecurities.
They're more human.
Yes, you see a more human side to them,
Very interesting.
which I found refreshing.
Yeah, so it's like a behind-the-scenes look
Yes.
at the gods with all their drama and intrigue.
Exactly.
That's a really cool twist.
I thought so too.
So what about the magic system?
Okay, so
Is it like your typical fireballs and spells or something more unique?
the magic in this world is it's very deeply rooted
Okay.
in Norse mythology
Uh-huh.
and symbolism.
Okay.
It's more subtle
Yeah.
and atmospheric.
Mm.
You know, almost like a force of nature that the characters tap into.
Oh, wow.
Think runes, rituals, a deep connection to the natural world.
That sounds really immersive.
It is.
You're really painting a picture of a world that feels both familiar and completely new.
That's what I was going for.
Now tell me, does the story ever take a darker turn?
It does.
I mean, with gods and prophecies involved,
yeah.
things can't always be smooth sailing right now.
Right. Let's just say that the world
Okay.
that Harker has created
Yeah.
is not for the faint of heart.
Okay.
There are definitely moments of darkness,
Uh-huh.
betrayal, and loss
I see.
that add a layer of intensity to the story.
Ooh. I do love a good dose of tension and trauma.
Don't we all?
But what about the overall tone of the book?
Okay.
Would you say it's more lighthearted and adventurous,
I
or?
think it strikes a really good balance.
Okay.
You know, there are moments of humor and lightheartedness,
Uh-huh.
especially in the banter between the characters.
Right.
But the stakes are very high.
Yeah.
And the threats are real.
It doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of this world and the difficult choices that these characters have to make.
That balance is what makes a story truly memorable.
It is.
You get invested in the characters and their struggles.
Yeah.
But you also get those moments of relief
Right.
that make the journey all the more enjoyable.
Absolutely.
So what about the world building?
The world building is amazing.
Yeah, what stood out to you?
The author really brings those realms of Norse mythology to life.
Okay.
You can practically smell the pine forests of Vanaheim,
Really?
feel the chill of Jotunheim, the land of the giants.
Wow.
And each realm has its own distinct culture and atmosphere.
So it's not just a generic fantasy setting.
No,
It sounds like each location really plays a significant role in the story.
it does.
And how would you describe the writing style? Is it easy to get lost in, or?
The writing is very lyrical and descriptive
Okay.
without being overly dense.
Okay.
The author does a great job of painting a vivid picture.
With her words and the pacing keeps you hooked, it's a book that you can easily lose yourself in.
That's what I like to hear.
But the real magic lies in the way that the author blends all of those elements with this really compelling love story and thought-provoking themes.
Right.
You know, you're not just reading about battles and prophecies.
Yeah.
You're also exploring really big ideas about fate, free will, the nature of power.
Right. I'm sold. You've definitely piqued my curiosity without giving too much away.
That was the goal.
But before we dive deeper, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll delve into some of the more intriguing characters and themes
We will.
without spoiling the major twists and turns.
Sounds good. So we've talked about Revna and Fenrir, you know, this kind of clash of personalities and worlds.
Yeah.
But there's another character that adds a fascinating layer of intrigue.
Okay, I love a good side character who shakes things up.
Exactly. So imagine a powerful giantess,
Okay.
skilled in magic and manipulation. That's Engrboda Fenrir's mother.
Fenrir's mother.
And she's not your typical doting parent.
Okay, so a giantess with a knack for magic and a hidden agenda.
Perhaps.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about what role she plays in all of this.
Well, let's just say she's been pulling some strings from behind the scenes.
Oh.
Her motivations are complex, you know?
Yeah.
She clearly loves her children, but she also has her own ambitions.
Right.
And she's not afraid to use anyone to achieve her goals.
Sounds like a force to be reckoned with.
She is.
So does this mean that Revna and Fenrir's meeting wasn't just a coincidence?
That's a good question.
Was she somehow involved?
Well, let's just say that Engrboda's actions raised some really interesting questions
Okay.
about fate and free will. Was their encounter orchestrated, or was it destiny?
Yeah.
It's something the book really makes you think about.
Ooh, that's a good hook. It makes you wonder if they're truly in control of their own destinies,
Right.
or if they're pawns in some larger game. Speaking of powerful beings, we can't forget about Thor.
We can't forget about Thor.
Oh, Thor. He definitely adds fuel to the fire.
He does.
He represents that old guard of Asgard.
Yes.
And he's not exactly thrilled about Fenrir, let alone Fenrir's connection with Revna.
No, he is not.
So a disapproving god with a penchant for thunder.
Exactly.
I bet that makes for some interesting interactions.
It does.
But why is Thor so fixated on Fenrir?
Well,
Is it just a sibling rivalry thing, or is there something more to it?
Well, Thor sees Fenrir as a threat to the established order.
Okay.
A creature of chaos who needs to be controlled.
Right.
And remember, this isn't just about personal feelings.
Right.
It's about this balance of power between the realms.
Right, because if even one realm is thrown out of whack,
Exactly.
who knows what could happen to the other?
Exactly.
It's like a delicate ecosystem.
It is.
So where does Revna fit into all of this?
Well,
Is she caught in the middle of this power struggle?
absolutely. She becomes a really pivotal figure in this conflict.
Right.
Representing a potential shift in this balance of power.
I see.
And her choices have these ripple effects throughout all the realms.
That's a lot of pressure for one shield maiden.
It is.
It makes me wonder how she navigates this complex web of alliances and betrayals while staying true to herself.
Well, it's a testament to her strength of character, that
Yeah.
she doesn't just bend to the will of the gods.
Right.
She carves her own path,
Uh-huh.
making choices based on what she believes is right,
Right.
even when those choices put her at odds with these really powerful forces.
Now that's a protagonist I can root for.
Me too.
Someone who isn't afraid to stand up for what they believe in,
Yeah.
even when the odds are stacked against them.
Absolutely, and she's not just fighting for herself.
Right.
Remember those Myddheim Maidens that we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Well, their loyalty to Revna is unwavering,
Okay.
and they play a key role in her journey.
So it's not just a lone hero's tale then.
No, it's not.
It sounds like there's a strong sense of camaraderie and sisterhood.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that. So it's so much more powerful when characters aren't just fighting for some abstract cause,
Right.
but for the people they love and care about.
Exactly. And their bond is inspiring.
Yeah.
They fight for each other, they support each other,
Uh-huh.
and they challenge each other to be better.
That's great.
It's a reminder that even the fiercest warriors
Right.
need a strong network of support.
Absolutely. And what about the world itself? We touched on the different realms.
Okay.
But what else makes this setting so unique?
Well, think of a world that's just steeped in Norse mythology,
Okay.
where ancient forests whisper secrets,
Yeah.
and hidden caves hold forgotten treasures, and the very air crackles with magic.
Ooh, that sounds wonderfully atmospheric.
It is.
It's like you can almost smell the pine needles and hear the wind whistling through the trees.
Exactly.
We've got undead warriors, giant serpents.
Yeah.
This definitely isn't your typical medieval fantasy setting.
Yeah.
And speaking of Hel, the goddess of death,
Okay.
what's her role in all of this?
Well, one of the things that I love about this book
Yeah.
is that it doesn't rely on those typical tropes.
Okay.
Hel is very complex and multifaceted.
I see.
She's not just this bringer of death.
Right.
She's also a ruler,
Okay.
a strategist,
Uh-huh.
and even surprisingly, someone with a very dry sense of humor.
A goddess of death with a sense of humor. Now, that's something you don't see every day.
You don't?
Does she interact much with Revna?
Let's just say their paths cross in unexpected ways,
Okay.
and their interactions are anything but predictable.
Interesting.
It's a reminder that in this world, nothing is black and white.
Right.
Even the deities have their own motivations, their own alliances,
Mhm.
and their own sense of justice.
So one of the things I love about fantasy novels that delve into mythology,
Me too.
they take these figures that we think we know and kind of turn them on their heads. You start to see them in a whole new light.
A whole new light.
So we've got compelling characters, a world steeped in mythology,
Uh-huh.
and a plot that keeps you guessing.
Yes.
But what about the emotional core of the story?
Okay.
What do you think will resonate with readers on a deeper level?
One of the themes that really resonated with me
Yeah.
was this idea of found family.
Oh, okay.
Both Revna and Fenrir have experienced a lot of loss and betrayal,
Yeah.
but they find this sense of belonging and purpose in the most unexpected places.
That's a really powerful theme, especially in a story where, characters are constantly being challenged
Right.
and forced to confront their own beliefs.
Yeah, it makes you think about those connections that we forge in life
Mhm.
and how they shape who we become.
Absolutely. The story also explores the idea of second chances.
It does.
Both Revna and Fenrir are haunted by their pasts.
Yeah.
But they're given these opportunities to redeem themselves,
Right.
to forge new paths, and to find a measure of peace.
Exactly. It's like they're both broken in their own ways,
Yeah.
but they find a way to heal each other.
And isn't that what we all hope for?
It is.
A chance to overcome our past and build a better future?
Absolutely. And it's not just about romantic love either.
Right.
The story also highlights these bonds of friendship and loyalty
Yeah.
and the power of finding strength in a shared purpose.
I see.
You know, the Myddheim Maidens, Fenrir's relationship with his siblings.
Uh-huh.
These connections add these layers of complexity and emotional depth to the story.
It sounds like a story that will stay with you long after you finish the last page.
You
A
will.
story that makes you think about the choices that we make,
Yeah,
the sacrifices that we're willing to bear, and the power of hope even in the face of darkness.
exactly. And one of the things I found so compelling was that the author doesn't shy away
Yeah.
from depicting the consequences of violence.
Right.
You know, it's not just this glorious battle.
Good.
It's also a reminder that war leaves these scars,
Yeah.
both physical and emotional.
That realism is so important,
It is.
especially in a genre that often glorifies battle and conquest.
Exactly.
It makes the stakes feel so much higher and the emotional impact that much more profound.
Absolutely. And it brings us back to the prophecy surrounding Revna.
Oh yes, the prophecy.
Ew.
I'm dying to know more.
Oh, wait.
You've hinted at it throughout our conversation.
Yes, I have.
But can you give us any more clues without spoiling the surprise?
Okay, let's just say that the prophecy is shrouded in mystery
Uh-huh.
and open to interpretation.
Okay.
It speaks of a moon-kissed raven,
A moon-kissed raven.
a balance that must be restored,
Okay.
and a choice that will determine the fate of all the realms.
Ooh, cryptic and intriguing.
It is.
It makes you wonder who or what this moon-kissed raven could be
Right.
and what kind of choice will hold such power.
A big choice.
And remember those subtle hints of romance we mentioned?
Yes,
Well, let's just say that the prophecy also suggests a connection between Revna and Fenrir
it does.
that goes beyond their shared history.
It does.
A connection that could save or doom the realms.
Perhaps.
That's a lot of pressure for a budding romance.
It is.
It certainly adds a layer of complexity to their relationship.
It does.
You're not just fighting for their own happiness,
Right.
they're fighting for the fate of the world.
The fate of the world.
You've definitely kept me on the edge of my seat.
Good.
But before we delve any further into the twists and turns of this prophecy,
Okay.
let's move on to another fascinating aspect of this story.
Okay. Let's talk about the magic system.
Okay, I am all ears. What makes it so unique?
Well, the magic in this world is very deeply rooted
Okay.
in Norse mythology and the natural world. Characters use runes and rituals
Okay.
and their connection to the elements to harness their power.
So it's a more grounded and atmospheric kind of magic.
Yes.
Almost like a force of nature that the characters are tapping into.
Exactly.
And the way that it's woven into the narrative,
Uh-huh.
is it subtle and believable or?
It is. It's very subtle and believable. It's not just a plot device.
Right.
It's an integral part of the world and the characters' lives.
That's what I love about well-crafted magic systems.
Yes.
They feel like an organic part of the story, not just something that's tacked on for effect.
Exactly. And this magic system is very intricately tied
Okay.
to the prophecy and this larger conflict
Yeah.
that's brewing between the realms.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
So it's not just about wielding power.
No, it's not.
It's about understanding its source and its potential consequences.
Exactly.
That brings us to another fascinating aspect of the story.
Yeah.
The exploration of different types of power.
Different types of power.
Oh, I am all about power dynamics and how they play out in a story.
Good.
Tell me more.
Well, we see the raw brute force of the gods,
Okay.
the cunning manipulation of Angrboda,
Right.
the quiet resilience of the Myddheim Maidens,
Uh-huh.
and the understated but really potent magic that's wielded by various characters.
So it's not just about who can swing the biggest hammer
Yeah.
or cast the flashiest spell. It sounds like power takes many forms in this world.
It does.
And the story explores those nuances of these different types of power,
Yeah.
showing how they can be used for both good and evil,
Right.
for control and for liberation.
For control and for liberation.
That's a really interesting angle. It makes you wonder about the true nature of power
Yeah.
and how it can be used to influence, manipulate, or empower others.
Right. And it raises questions about the responsibilities
Uh-huh.
that come with wielding power.
Right.
Whether it's the power of a god,
Yeah.
a leader, a warrior, or even a magic user.
It sounds like the author isn't afraid to delve into those gray areas of morality,
She's not.
challenging us to think about the choices we make and the impact they have on others.
Exactly. And those choices become even more complex
Yeah,
when you factor in the prophecy
right.
and the potential consequences of fulfilling or defying it.
You've definitely painted a picture of a world that is rich with intrigue, moral dilemmas, and a magic system that is deeply intertwined with the fate of the realms.
It is.
But what about the heart of the story?
Okay.
Can you tell us anything more about Revna and Fenrir's relationship without giving too much away?
No, their relationship is anything but simple.
Okay.
It's a slow burn,
Okay.
a dance of attraction and distrust,
Oh.
fueled by their shared past and the undeniable chemistry between them.
That push and pull dynamic always makes for such a captivating read.
It does.
Is it forbidden romance, or do they eventually find some common ground?
Let's just say that their connection defies expectations.
Okay.
They challenge each other, they push each other's buttons,
Uh-huh.
and ultimately they help each other heal from their past wounds.
That sounds incredibly romantic.
Yeah.
It's like they find solace and strength in each other despite all the chaos and danger that's surrounding them.
Exactly. And their relationship is a testament to this idea
Yeah.
that love can bloom even in the most unlikely of places. That even broken souls can find solace in each other's arms.
You've definitely made me want to pick up this book and delve into this world.
Good. I'm glad.
But before we wrap up, I have to ask,
Okay.
is there a particular scene or moment that stood out to you?
Okay.
Something that really captured the essence of the story?
There's one scene where Revna and Fenrir are trapped in this hidden cave
Okay.
during a blizzard.
Okay.
They're forced to rely on each other for survival.
Ooh, I love those moments of forced proximity.
Yes, and in that moment of vulnerability,
Yeah.
their walls start to crumble.
So the external conflict creates this opportunity for deeper intimacy and understanding.
It does, and it's in those quiet moments,
Yeah.
away from the battles and the prophecies,
Right.
that their true connection really shines through. They
Yeah.
let their guard down, they share their vulnerabilities, and they begin to see each other in a whole new light.
That sounds so incredibly heartwarming.
It is.
Those moments of human connection, even amidst all the chaos and danger
Right.
that truly make a story come alive.
They do, and it's a reminder that even the fiercest warriors have a soft spot.
Right.
That even those who seem invincible
Right.
crave connection and belonging.
All right. You've officially convinced me.
I'm glad.
I'm adding this book to my reading list ASAP.
You sure?
But before we wrap up, I have to ask one more question.
Okay, what is it?
If you could give potential readers one piece of advice,
Okay.
one thing to keep in mind as they embark on this journey, what would it be?
I would say be prepared to have your expectations challenged.
Okay.
This isn't your typical good versus evil story. It's
Wow.
a tale of moral ambiguity,
Yeah.
where even the gods aren't perfect,
Uh-huh.
and where redemption can be found in the most unexpected places.
That's such a great point. It's those stories that, that really make us think,
Yeah.
that challenge our preconceived notions,
Yeah.
that truly stay with us long after we finish the last page.
Exactly. And By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings does that brilliantly.
Yeah.
It's a story that will make you question everything
Uh-huh.
you thought you knew about Norse mythology,
Okay.
about power,
Yeah.
and about this enduring power of love
Right.
in a world that's teetering on the brink of chaos.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
It sounds like a journey that is both epic in scope and dopely personal.
It is.
A story that will stay with you long after you close the book.
And with that, I think we've given our listeners a really good taste
Yeah,
of what By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings has to offer.
I think so too.
Hopefully we've piqued their curiosity
Yeah, absolutely.
without spoiling the fun.
We want them to experience the magic of this story for themselves.
Yes.
To get lost in the world the author has created
Uh-huh.
and connect with the characters on their own terms.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for a fantasy novel
Yeah.
that blends Norse mythology, a compelling love story, and thought-provoking themes, we highly recommend checking out By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings by Rachel N. Harker.
All right, that concludes our deep dive for today.
It does.
We hope you enjoyed the journey.
We did.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep questioning,
Yeah.
and keep diving deep. So we've talked about the characters, the world, the magic system.
Yes.
But what I'm really curious about is the author's writing style.
Okay.
What makes it unique?
One thing that really stands out to me
Yeah.
is her ability to balance these really epic, mythical elements with these really intimate human moments.
Okay.
You'll be swept away by, descriptions of battles and prophecies.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're drawn into this quiet scene where Revna and Fenrir are, sharing this really vulnerable moment.
That's what really makes a story stick with you, right?
I think so.
Those small details, those glimpses of humanity
Yeah.
that ground even the most fantastical elements.
Exactly. And the author does that so well.
Yeah.
You really feel the weight of their past traumas, the uncertainty of their future, The
Right.
tenderness in their interactions,
Okay.
even as they're grappling with the fate of entire realms.
It's like those quiet moments amplify the epic scale of the story.
Yeah.
Because you understand what's at stake, not just for the world,
Right.
but for these characters that you've come to care about.
Absolutely. And it's not just about Revna and Fenrir.
Right.
The side characters, even those with smaller roles,
Yeah.
have their own complexities.
Yeah.
Take Austri, for example,
Ostry.
the dwarf who becomes a close friend to them both.
Okay.
He might seem like, your typical gruff, traditional dwarf.
Right.
But he has this surprising wisdom
Okay.
and compassion.
I love those characters that kind of subvert expectations.
Yeah.
Who have these hidden depths that you wouldn't expect at first glance.
Exactly.
It makes the world feel richer, more realistic.
More realistic. And it's not just the characters.
Yeah.
The author brings that same depth to the setting.
Right.
We've talked about the different realms.
But it's more than just locations on a map.
Okay.
You can really feel the unique atmosphere of each place,
I see.
from the bustling energy of Asgard
Okay.
to the hushed reverence of a sacred grove in Vanaheim.
It's like the setting becomes another character in the story.
It does.
And that sense of place can really draw you in, make you feel like you're a part of that world.
Speaking of being drawn in,
Yeah?
one thing I have to commend the author on
Okay.
is her pacing.
Yeah.
The story moves at a really good clip.
Okay.
You're constantly wondering what's going to happen next, but it never feels rushed.
That's a tough balance to strike.
It is.
Keeping the momentum going without sacrificing those character moments or those descriptive passages that really immerse you in the world.
And that's where the author's skill as a storyteller really shines through.
I see.
She knows when to speed things up, when to slow down, when to zoom in on the characters.
And when to pull back to reveal that grander scope of the story.
It sounds like she's crafted a story that's both intricate and accessible.
Yeah, I think so.
Something that will appeal to, seasoned fantasy readers.
Yeah.
But also those who are new to the genre.
Exactly. And for those who are familiar with Norse mythology, it's like revisiting these myths and seeing them from a fresh perspective. The author takes these familiar figures, gives them new dimensions, new complexities.
That's what I find so fascinating about stories that draw from mythology.
Right, sure.
They tap into something universal, something that's resonated with people for centuries.
Right.
But they also offer this really unique interpretation.
And that's what sets By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings apart.
Okay.
It's not just rehashing old tales.
Right.
It's this really fresh, imaginative take on Norse mythology that explores themes that are relevant to our lives today.
What kind of things are we talking about?
Well, we've already touched on some of them.
Yeah?
Fate versus free will.
Right.
The nature of power. The importance of found family.
Yeah.
But the story also delves into, sacrifice, redemption, the lasting impact of trauma, and the courage that it takes to challenge the status quo.
Those are some heavy hitters.
They are.
It sounds like the author isn't afraid to tackle some really complex issues.
She's not, and she does it in a way that's thought-provoking, but not preachy.
Okay.
You're drawn into these characters' lives, their struggles, their triumphs.
Right.
And you find yourself reflecting on these themes without even realizing it.
It's that subtle nudge, that invitation to think critically.
Yes.
That can make a story truly impactful.
And this book definitely has that.
Yeah.
It's a story that will stay with you long after you finish the last page, prompting you to reconsider your own beliefs.
Okay.
And to see the world in a whole new light.
That's the power of a great story, right? It can transport you to another world.
Yeah.
Challenge your assumptions, and leave you feeling changed in some way.
Exactly. And By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings does all of that and more.
Yeah, it really does sound like a captivating blend.
It is.
Of Norse mythology, romance action, and thought-provoking themes.
Yes.
Like you said, it's a story that has something for everyone.
I think so.
I think we've done a good job of giving our listeners a glimpse into this world.
I think so, too.
Without spoiling the magic.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've sparked their curiosity and encouraged them to dive in themselves.
Yes, if you're looking for a book that will transport you,
Yeah.
challenge you, and leave you feeling breathless, By the Sharp and Shadowed Wings is definitely worth a read.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Okay.
But we encourage you to pick up this book and discover its secrets for yourself.
You should.
And as always, Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.